What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 10 of the Stand Up Guys podcast.
10.
Okay, wasn't expecting that. I'm your host, once again, the incomparable Zach Jones, alongside the Simon to my Alvin, Lester Jones.
Yeah, that sounds accurate. Except you're maybe Theodore.
Hey, I'm the host, so I'm going with Alvin. And of course, these intros are too long. You know what? For this week, the Punjabi Playboy AJ Singh.
There we go.
I'll take it. Yeah, sure.
You know what? I think the ass-eating one rolled off the tongue easier.
Pun intended.
Yeah, exactly. It just, I don't know, there was something smoother about it, whereas this other one, I don't know, it doesn't ring quite as true. Well, everyone listening, I guess a happy, for those listening to this, a belated happy Batman Day, because currently today is Batman Day. And you know what's weird is because I am like a huge Batman fan, so you'd think I would already known this, but I was like, why is like this September? Because it's never the same each day. Like it's always in September, and so what happened, I guess, is they've done this since 2014, and in 2014 they did it in like July because that was like the 75th anniversary of Batman debuting in Detective Comics.
Okay.
But ever since then, they've just randomly changed it to like the third week or third Saturday in September. And like even Wikipedia, like it doesn't give a reason for that.
Right.
It's just like, okay. Because like it would make sense if it was always that day that commemorated like the anniversary of when, Detective 27 came out.
If I was going to do a holiday, I'd probably do like Easter and put it on a Jewish calendar and then like it's all over the map. Nobody understands anything.
But regardless, happy Batman Day, everybody. All right, you guys got any funny stories from the week, or maybe some TV, movie recommendations you seen? Anything?
I've been doing a lot of hiding out, I guess, from the smoke. I guess I did have watched some TV. I watched the Raised by Wolves, what's it been out so far. And that's pretty good on the sci-fi front. Also, Lovecraft, is it country or county? I forget.
Country, I think. But I haven't watched it.
And that's a pretty good mixing, the horror genre with public commentary, which I think is something that works pretty well with sci-fi and horror, both pretty well.
So you're digging it so far?
Yeah, I'm liking it. I'll keep watching it.
Yeah, the only thing I did is I
well, correction, I'll watch it until your HBO month runs out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you got to like the end of this month, so I don't know if they'll be finished by then. Probably not. I started Westworld season 3, which I've only seen like 2 episodes of it, but it seems like it's definitely more exciting than season 2, which was...
Yeah, season 2 wasn't as good as 1. Season 3 was pretty decent.
I really liked season 1. Like, yeah. I went through it quickly and thought it was good, and then season 2 was a bit of a drag. Took me a while to get through. And I've been kind of actually rewatching The Orville, which is like one of those shows where like I didn't think I would like it, and then I watched it and I ended up liking it. But
did it get canceled?
I don't think canceled. It's going to, instead of being on Fox, it's now going to go directly to Hulu, I think. Okay. But I think they did like
that's pretty much the death knell.
Like a lot of shows, it got delayed because of COVID and all that, I think. But yeah. I think they will come back eventually.
Okay.
All right. Well, as tradition dictates, AJ, we'll have you kick this off.
All right. As tradition dictates, this is going to have to do with porn and somebody in Thailand. A Thai MP was caught looking at porn on his phone in Parliament. A member of Parliament in Thailand was left red-faced after he was caught looking at pornographic images on his smartphone. Ranatap Anuwat was supposed to be paying attention to a budget reading when shocked reporters spotted him scrolling through explicit images on his phone. The politician reportedly spent about 10 minutes reviewing the images on his phone on Wednesday evening. The whole thing was caught on camera by reporters sitting in the gallery of the Parliament in Bangkok. The reporter snapped pictures of the MP who represents Chonburi province for ruling military Phalong Pracharat Party, which have gone viral on social media. Some pictures have even shown Mr. Anuwat removing his face mask to get a better look at the not safe for work images. The parliamentarian was confronted by reporters and admitted to looking at the pornographic pics. However, he made the bizarre excuse that the pictures were unsolicited and that he received them from an app called Line. Mr. Anuwat told local media that the woman was in the pictures was asking for help and wanted money. He claims that he only spent time looking at the images to make sure that she was not in danger. According to Lad Bible, he said he wanted to observe the environment surrounding the girl in the picture as he feared she was being harassed by gangsters who had forced her to take the pictures. Soon, however, he realized she was asking for money and deleted the pics. I think the excuse was the best part of it.
Yeah. That's like when you start telling a lie and you're just like, gotta keep going now. Don't slow down.
I mean, it's pretty quick thinking, you know, for him to say like, oh, this was a girl who was forced to send these pics. She was in danger. I was making sure she was safe. Like, I would have been like, you caught me.
Yep, sorry.
Man, you really got to be careful these days because, like, even like recently, like Chris Evans, like he just like posted like a snapshot of his photo roll or something, and he didn't notice like he had a nude on there of himself or something, like it had his dick in it, and like people caught that. And like I know like a few years ago that JBL, who's like a former wrestler, he was doing commentary, and like he had his laptop, and someone took a screenshot of it, and of course like one of the unopened tabs is like a porn. And like, so yeah, like if you really got to be careful.
Yeah, you do. I mean, this guy,
especially these day and ages, everyone just like, you know, if you're a celebrity at all, everyone like really scrutinizes what you put out.
even if you're not a celebrity, you could become a meme or somebody. You can become famous really quickly.
That's true.
Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty funny.
I mean, I wonder
It is funny.
I wonder if this guy was looking at an actual porn site, or if he looked at some sort of weird images on some like. Maybe he actually, if he received these images, he could pull off that excuse. But if he was on like Pornhub.com, then you can't really be like, oh, this girl was in danger and I was making sure she was safe and everything.
You know, I want the first like politician that is
It seems like your instinct would be very against that.
but I would like the first politician to be just like, yeah, I watch porn. Like,
Sorry, get over it. I'm not touching little kids.
I feel like Anthony Weiner was kind of like that, you know. I mean, he you know, he did a lot of stuff.
Well, his main thing, he sent a dick pic to some chick, right?
Oh yeah, that's true.
So I mean, I don't know if that's that bad.
well, I think in his case she was underage, so he got in trouble.
Oh, she was underage?
I think that she was like 15.
Oh,
yeah, I think
didn't
he.
know that.
Yeah,
And he was married and everything.
Yeah, I could see that being a scandal.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oops, I thought this was my wife. His wife is like, ugh.
Yeah, with the name Wiener, it's
Yeah, you got to run with that.
yeah.
You got to be extra careful if your last name's Wiener.
Exactly.
All right, well, kick it on over to you.
So this one just popped in my head like just a couple minutes ago. Have you guys ever overheard a conversation that you probably shouldn't have heard?
Yeah, I'm sure I have.
Probably.
Okay, so it sounds like you guys don't have any good ones. But I was like in a deli shop one day, and there was a line. So I'm standing there, and there's two girls like standing behind me, and they're talking, and I'm just standing there, and like one of them like goes off on how she accidentally put her cat from like the laundry basket into the dryer, and like killed it.
Oh no.
And so I had to stand there. Not only like I hadn't heard it, but then you know how your brain is like, don't laugh. Don't laugh at this. And so I'm like just trying to hold in because what a horrible thing to laugh about. Yeah. I don't know. That just popped in my head. So
That'll make your pussy dry.
I want more details. Like, how did she pick
like
it up?
I guess it crawled in or something and she threw it in and
Oh wow.
but yeah, no, I was the wrong person to overhear that conversation.
Yeah. Golly.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like I'm sure I have, but like nothing really good comes to mind.
Yeah. It's rare, but like, yeah, every once in a while you catch a little snippet of something.
I just heard like a lot of complaining from people.
That's kind of default for people, isn't it? Just complaining about stuff.
Yeah.
Are you glad that you? Well, I don't know if this is true in your case, but like, I'm glad I never like heard like mom and dad like dirty talking each other or something like that.
Yeah. It is kind of funny when you meet like a gross old person who talks about sex. Like when I was a kid, it was just gross, but now it's like hilarious on a completely different level. It's like, you got me, Grandpa.
I'm surprised they can keep going at that age, you know? At some point, I feel.
Well, some people just talk a good game, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we have this one. Well, this is another one where we probably shouldn't let our family listen. But we have like this older like aunt, and like someone was talking about they caught someone pissing outside or she's like, oh, I wish I had been there. I've been like, oh, I was like, ooh, this is gross.
Caught someone pissing and she would have been.
She wished she had been there to like witness. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, that's interesting. You know her fetish now.
Just like randomly finding some dude with his dong out, I guess, is a good day.
Oh, there was a show a long time ago. That, I don't know if it was on Fox or what, but they basically people would reveal their deepest, darkest secret on TV.
Okay.
And one lady said her dark secret was that she wanted to be raped.
Oh, jeez.
She said that on TV. Like, I feel like that's just a bad idea, you know?
I mean, I have heard of people with like rape fantasies, but I always was kind of like, is this just like a fantasy? You're not like actually into it. It's just like one of your mental, videos you keep for yourself or something.
And I think even when like women say rape fantasy, they don't
actually
legitimately mean rape. They probably mean like they have this fantasy of being kind of tied up and being submissive or out of, like not in control on some level. But yeah, I don't think most women would mean like legitimately rape.
Some guy who they're
it's like
not
two separate
attracted
things.
to, forcing it. Yeah. Okay, makes sense.
But yeah, still, it's weird.
Yeah, wouldn't admit that on TV.
All right, I got a couple more hypotheticals for you guys this week. Would you rather be able to detect any lie you hear or get away with any lie you tell?
Get away with any lie I tell.
Yeah, it seems like the financial upside of being able to lie about anything would be pretty good, big.
Yeah, because like last week, one of your questions was about lying, and I'm like, well, I don't like to lie and everything, but if you had the ability to get away with any lie, like you could technically use it for good too.
Yeah, like you show up at the bank and say, I'm Donald Trump and I won $1 million of my dollars.
Of my dollars.
Yeah.
Or you could be like, both Donald Trump and Joe Biden thinks it's acceptable to put pineapple on pizza. We really do need a third way forward. Or you could even be like, let's say you're with a woman and at the end you're like, wow, that was really good sex. I really got up there.
I was amazing.
I was as deep as you ever had.
She's like, you're right. Oh, this next one is actually pretty tough because both of these would be terrible. Would you rather never hear music again or lose the ability to read?
I'm okay with getting rid of music. I enjoy reading.
I mean, I love music and reading, but I think I would have to get rid of music just because, like, how do you do a job or anything if you can't read?
I thought you were going to go the other way because you haven't read a book since you were like in the 8th grade and it was the Red Badge of Courage or something like that. He's like, I'm not using this skill.
No,
I don't need this shit.
Comic books count as books to me.
Oh, okay.
I just surf the internet a lot. I need my reading to...
Yeah, and read articles or whatnot. Or we got to come up with.
Wouldn't it be ironic if you couldn't read the lyrics to Wet Ass Pussy?
What a world that would be.
Hey, that would be like kind of a fun game. It was like you ask people like, what are the hottest songs going today? And so you like track down the lyrics and then you imagine what the song sounds like by reading the lyrics.
Like 100 years ago, it was like, not 100, but 50 years ago, it was like, hey, can I hold your hand? And now it's like wet ass pussy.
Yeah.
What's it going to be in like 50 years from now? Turned inside out or something? That might happen soon, actually.
I think we'll see another transition loop to something more conservative. Because all these things seem like they have cycles.
Yeah, because like kids today will be like, "Oh, my parents are into wet ass pussy."
Be like, I've heard every like give and take and like fork in this wet ass pussy genre. You know, like I need something different.
Yeah, let's go back to hops.
Hopscotch.
Hopscotch or whatever. Yeah.
Right.
Sock hops. Yeah.
Finally, the big existential question: would you rather find true love or be rich?
Be rich.
I mean, if it's possible, I don't know. I might take the true love route.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say you'll try to buy love.
Yeah, we'll put that to the test. I mean, it's all about maximizing happiness, and you would think either would bring you happiness. I don't know. That's a tough one.
Happiness.
Happiness. I don't know. I'm going to go the true love route. What about you?
How much money?
Well, it just says rich. So.
Oh, rich. Generic rich. I might just go. I don't know, man. That's a tough one. I've become so cynical.
I mean, the truth is even if you don't find your soulmate, you might find someone you're happy with. You know, so. Maybe the money is the better route to go. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe money.
But you'll know, if you take that money, you'll know no matter who you find, it's not that true love.
Yeah, but if I had money right now, I could just go take my kids wherever I wanted and do whatever I wanted and just be like, fuck it.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'd be happy with that.
That's true. All right, AJ, we'll go back to you.
All right. I want to do some hypotheticals, too. Let's see what we have here.
Man, I'm looking over my notes while we're waiting for it to be my turn. And I'm just like, this is... scattered.
That's why we call it a manifesto, man.
Yeah, it's like a conspiracy theory that's like half formed, and it's like it's a mess, man. I've been listening to Ron Paul and Thomas Sowell.
All right. Would you rather be trapped in a small room with 10,000 tarantulas for 10 minutes, or eat 10 tarantulas in 10 minutes? Now, I'm scared of spiders, so this is a tough one for me.
I am too, but don't they say like tarantulas, like they don't typically, like they're poisonous, but they don't typically bite?
Yeah, I think bites are pretty rare. Some of them, they have like that, they'll throw up their hair, so it's like an irritant to your skin and lungs and stuff.
I think
I could eat them, but like I think I could just stand there and be petrified for like 10 minutes.
But at the same time, like eating them, like can you cook them up and like...
I'm guessing it's not like...
If you have to eat one a minute, though, like I just worry about like how like stringy and hard they are to eat, and like what happens if you don't make it in the 10-minute time frame? Are these like just some sort of fear factor?
Yeah, I think it'd be pretty easy to freak out in the 10,000 spiders and just start like running around and like bashing and squishing, pissing them off.
I mean, if it was snakes, I would have to go the eat 'em route.
Snakes are supposed to be tasty, man.
Some of them, that's what they say. I guess eat 'em.
Probably eat them, yeah.
Eat them, okay. Yeah, I guess I would go with eat them too. Because 10,000 all over like a small room, they're gonna get all over your body, and I don't think I can handle that.
Yeah, I mean, as long as I don't know, I think I could stand in them pretty easy. Like even though I'd be like pretty nervous.
Now, can you put on like a hazmat suit, or do you have to be like somewhat exposed?
You have to wear like normal clothes, like you're wearing now.
Yeah, they're gonna be like on your face and arms and stuff.
See, if they could get up my pant leg, I wouldn't do it.
And with 10,000, something's gonna get somewhere.
Something's good, yeah.
Yeah, I'd take eating them in that case. Then.
All right. I have one more. Would you rather kill one innocent near-death person or three people in middle age who have committed violent crimes? And these people have not been like prosecuted or anything for their violent crimes. They got away with it.
I mean, I'm pretty chill killing certain people, I guess.
So, like, these are people who murdered innocent people? Or?
Yeah, they've raped, murdered, stuff like that.
Yeah, I would kill them.
Yeah. There was one, I don't know if I talked about this on here before. There's a guy they're calling him the Alaskan Avenger. Mm-hmm. But, like, he was going on the web and finding registered sex offenders. Mm. And so I think he beat a couple up with his fists, and like the third guy he beat up with a hammer, and I think that guy later died. But yeah, he was abused as a kid or something, and like he just was like
snapped.
Yeah, he's just going around, beating up people.
I mean,
that's like the superhero who's like, the dark shit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all about like people did their time, and if they're not doing the crime again, then leave people be or whatever. But if they're doing it again, then I'd be like, beat them up. I don't know.
I mean, I think rapists should probably get life in prison.
Yeah.
Yeah, rape is definitely a bad. What am I like it's debatable. Yeah, rape is pretty terrible.
Rape is.
You can't just like go kill some old grandma. Like,
the problem with just, and I don't know like those sites that tell about the sex offenders, just, in your area, like how detailed they are. But in some places, like you can be put on that list, like if you get caught, trying to buy a prostitute or something like
right.
that.
Well, I've actually looked at like organs before because we live here, and or was it Washington? I don't. One of them, but like it lists like basically they have different categories or whatever.
Oh, so it does tell.
So it's like, is type 2 category 3 or something like that. So
okay.
You have a pretty good idea probably of what they were charged with.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, in Pakistan they're talking about hanging people for pedophilia and rape because some lady was recently raped. She was on the side of a road. Her car broke down. I guess maybe she ran out of gas or something. And she was with her 2 kids. And she called the police or, some emergency line to help her. But before they arrived, 2 guys raped her. And the police chief actually tried to blame her for, like, not putting gas in the car earlier and not being on a busy road. Like, that's bullshit. So he had to walk it back and be like, oh, I didn't, whatever. But the prime minister was like, yeah, we should hang these people. I mean, I don't know. Look, I'm for people serving their time, and if they're not doing something ever again, then fine, but their punishment should also meet the crime. So I agree, like, rapists should get life in prison, and I think that in this case pedophiles and rapists, they should, I don't know, hanging might be like a good option in some cases. Like pedophilia, I feel like they should be hung, and I also feel like the guy who raped this lady, he was a multiple time offender. So he had gang raped somebody before too and got away with it. And now he's on the run. So, I mean, I think in some cases maybe they should hang them,
Yeah, I mean, that type of punishment's,
severe.
It's really against our institutions in America. But in another respect, they're cheap and they're effective, I guess. Because I don't want to pay for somebody to be in prison the rest of their life at like $60,000 a pop or something. It's like I have no interest in paying for that. I'd rather just hang them.
Well, that's the thing. In America, it's not cheaper because the appeals process and everything they say ends up costing more than it costs to just feed them and keep them alive.
Yeah, putting a person on death row costs millions.
Yeah, but I've always
does it have to?
I mean, probably not, but it's America. I will say I'm always been somewhat conflicted about the death penalty because, like, there's definitely some true monsters that have been put to death, and like I don't lose any sleep, over those people being put down. At the same time, like there was a good Joe Rogan like a couple months ago. He had these guys from the Innocent Project who, basically try to get people that they know are innocent that are in prison. And like, I highly recommend that episode to people because it is truly fucked up. You hear some of the stories they tell and how these guys were, wrongly imprisoned for, so many years of their lives, some of them still in there, and kind of the bullshit of, prosecutors that will uphold them being in there, even though they know that person's innocent, but they just want the win. In fact, they kind of go through and tell about how Kamala Harris kind of did that shit when she was an attorney. So like, the fact that does happen, and it happens more than you think, like I definitely am only in favor of the death penalty when it is truly, black and white, this person did it and it's irrefutable,
Yeah.
So it's definitely, there's definitely a line to walk there, I guess.
Yeah, and rape, it's one of those things where, like, sometimes there's an accusation, but you can't prove it. So it's like, who knows the truth? So, I mean, to give a severe punishment like death, for that, you'd really have to know if it happened. I feel like you need the evidence.
Well, and the other thing about it is, a lot of us, if you were just to be interviewed and someone asks you, hey, do you think it's ever okay for someone to take, the law into their own hands? The vast majority of people would say, no, of course, that's not okay. Vigilante justice is not okay. Our system would be in utter chaos. But then if you then took that same person and told them a story where, like, a guy's daughter is raped by some guy, and before the police catch him, the father gets his hands on him and, beats that rapist son bitch to death, that same person would be like, oh yeah, he got him,
Yeah.
And so because once you make it personal to yourself and you imagine somebody you love, in that situation, then that all goes out the door, right?
That's true.
And so, yeah, it's definitely, the death penalty, yeah, it's definitely a conflicting thing to think about,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, for murderers or something, I don't have conflict for it. I have probably a bigger conflict with the amount of time people are put in jail in general for, like, drug or other crimes.
Oh, yeah, I definitely have a problem with that.
It's just excessive, and I mean, it's something like I wouldn't do to a dog. Like, if I see somebody who has their dog chained in their backyard and they has to live in a little area its whole life, I'm like, that's pretty fucked up, dude.
Yeah.
And, like, it's just like it's a messed up thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely feel like the drug laws are way too harsh, and they've been.
I mean, they're finally turning away from it, I think, but they're not like I don't know if arrests have been stopped or or if they've released anybody, but at least they're starting to talk about it.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone's got the nuts to do anything about it.
Don't some countries, like, put money into, like, basically, instead of sending those people to prison, almost like a forced rehab type of situation?
Yeah, I mean, there's different things, and some things are better. The thing is, it depends, I'd say, on the crime, because, like, well, I basically think drugs should be legal, but, like some people who are, like, murderers or psychopaths, you can talk about reform, but essentially psychologists say you can't reform somebody who has this issue. It was, they probably had some tragic childhood, but now they're a certain way, and you can't make them a different way. At which point, I think maybe just weeding them out would be beneficial. But what was I talking about something else? Was there another point I was headed towards?
I'm not sure.
I'm biting hard.
But we've gone a while on the death penalty. If you want to kick it over to one of your subjects.
Gosh, what was I? Like, my notes are such a terrible mess. Oh, so I was kind of like on this idea of how, like, words change and stuff, but I saw recently that Trump has been trying to get black voters to, put tweets for him with the hashtag woke.
Oh, God.
So it's like trying to, like, take that word.
Co-opt it.
Right, co-opt the word and change. And eventually, like, you're going to be like, I don't want to be associated, with this or something.
He did that with fake news, too.
I mean, fake news, I think, is still real. Not everything he says is bullshit. So.
Yeah.
He's very good at, like, psychological wording or emphasis wording. Like, instead of saying, oh, that's nice, he's like, this is the great, this is the best, there's never been anything. And he has, like, a whole dictionary of these words of that makes things sound better, which is a pretty interesting.
Yeah, he's a salesman for sure.
He is a salesman, and yeah, God, can you imagine? I don't know how you could do business after this, because who's gonna I want to say who's gonna believe him, but people do believe him.
I think he'll target the people who have supported him this whole time. He'll sell them stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he can still slap his name on stuff, and yeah, he's probably still just gonna go out in a big branding, maybe speaking tours. That's what, like, Bill and Hillary do?
Oh yeah, all former
All the former
presidents and
presidents.
politicians. Yeah.
Can you imagine someone? Some university is going to pay him a shitload of money.
Oh yeah.
To come talk to like young people.
100%.
Some
Yeah.
Christian university.
It's going to be something.
Man, I don't know about you guys, but I've always kind of hated the word woke. Like, I've always found it to be pretentious. Like, and don't get me wrong. Like, I try to be like so socially like front facing and like
You don't want to say woke.
yeah. I just never in a million years would I describe myself as woke. I don't know. I've just always hated that word.
I think it's a good way to get the point across. Like, it's short and concise. Like, okay, you're woke as in like, you're awake to this.
Here's another thing is because the two parties are always trying to position themselves. So it's like a liberal word, right? We're woke, you're not.
Yeah.
But there's also like other things that I think are pretty inappropriate. Is like, oh, you're conservative, you're a racist, and just kind of like, let's back it up a little bit. This isn't this isn't necessarily.
Well, it's generalizing,
Right, it's incredibly generalizing, and so I think you hear it applied very widely, and I think it's kind of sloppy. But there's also kind of a very weird thing, like conservatives have the American flag now, and liberals like they stay away from the flag, and I'm like, this is pretty weird, right? I mean, both sides should be able to be proud of their country, and this is part of your identity and stuff, and that level is kind of striking and weird to me.
So I think they've co-opted that too. Like, they've taken the flag and like tried to give it like their own. If you support the flag, you support us. You're on our side. So people, it feels like they had to like take sides over even that issue because the kneeling and the NFL and stuff.
I do get that, but it's such like a stupid one, right?
Yeah, it is stupid.
It's like it's like it's going too far.
No, I agree, but it's just that I feel like the conservatives have basically said this flag represents no kneeling and this and that, like all this like stuff. So they just gave it this personality or this whole background that really doesn't exist, but people have accepted it.
Yeah, I don't know. It just strikes me as weird.
Yeah.
I think a couple things to me anyway is I think there's so much rhetoric with like the people on the far right and like the Fox News types where like to me they come off as jingoistic rather than patriotic, and it's a big turnoff. Like I'm like it just to the point where it's ridiculous. And then I think the other thing is liberals by nature, because they're not always like America number one, like we're willing to like admit that, hey, like even though we love America, like we're doing pretty bad in certain categories, and like we strive to improve rather than just going America number one, fuck you, And so I think that's another thing is like I think that's the difference between liberals and conservatives is like a lot of conservatives like to think like we're great at everything, and we're like, no, we're actually really behind on like healthcare and education and certain things, and we want to do better.
Yeah, and I think one thing that liberals do that hurts them is that we give a lot. Like we're willing to like almost say, okay, you guys own the flag, and we'll do something else, which is like you're giving up on that thing. You're not fighting for it. I feel like liberals kind of give up on those things pretty easily. We need to like not be as like I would say bullheaded as Republicans and be like, no, this is ours and that's evil and this and that. But we should be like, no, the flag represents this, not that, or whatever, like something more centrist, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's just small things like that I think should be both sides without having to be colored. But I was also thinking, like, I was looking at some of these other words and like how things are psychologically worded to turn a fight one way or the other. Like instead of gun control, you might use violence prevention, because violence prevention sounds much better than gun control, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
And so, and also like estate tax versus like death tax. It's like death tax. That's awful. That has so many terrible connotations,
Yeah.
Oil drilling is energy exploration. So here's some that we're still seeing some of these in like the news and stuff where like the word thugs generally is like denoting black people.
Mm-hmm.
or where, but like back in the 90s, the Clintons were using like, what was it, super predators, which is basically just an alternative for the N-word. So there's like a lot of like race stuff built in with that, which is kind of like pretty disturbing, I guess.
Yeah, like some dog whistle-y type stuff.
Yeah.
Globalists means Jews.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's crazy. They have dog whistles for everything, man.
Yeah, so I don't know.
There you go.
Yeah, go ahead.
So this is mostly a question for AJ. What would you say white people smell like?
Farts.
I can't go by like the actual person because everybody smells like different things, you know. But I can say by the houses, a lot of the time I smelled like either some sort of dishwashing or laundry detergent. Laundry detergent is what I usually smell like in houses.
That's probably like dryer vents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's what I always associate like American households smelling like, not just white people.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you notice a difference when a white person gets wet? Like, let's say they get out of a pool or something. Do you think a wet white person smells different than a dry wet person?
Just like chlorine, maybe. That's about it.
Okay, so the reason I'm asking this is we were watching Tom Segura once again, and they had a clip on there, and this black guy was asking, why do wet white people smell differently? And like, apparently, like, this is like not just him, like a lot of black people say that when white people get wet, they smell like wet dog.
Really?
And I'm like, I was just curious, like, have you ever experienced that?
No, I don't think so.
That's so weird. I was taken aback by that, like like wet dog. And so it got me thinking, like, is there a thing where like certain races of people like smell differently, or maybe just certain races like smell things differently?
Indian people like smell like curry a lot because we cook with curry at home and stuff. The food is very strong and spices are there, you know. But that's probably true for all races in different ways. But,
I know when I was in Korea, it's like a lot of people said Koreans smell like kimchi, which I know
they eat a lot of
kimchi.
it. Yeah.
But I never really noticed it, but I definitely knew people that said that.
You know, I think when COVID's over, I'm going to go start giving, since I'm in Portland now, and there's actually, you know, people of other races. I think I'm going to go start going up to people and giving them like the full bite and just, you know, really breathe in deep.
So that's another thing. I don't really like to like breathe people in. So
That's
like,
right.
I don't know.
That's pretty intimate, yeah.
I'll be like, don't worry, this is in the name of science. Now, can I pour this water on you?
Oh, that's funny.
But yeah, I thought that was so weird because it's one of those things I just never heard of. Like,
That might be more of a visual thing. Like maybe they look like they smell like, because a wet person looks like they might smell like something different. I don't know, but I don't know if you actually smell it. Maybe it's like a visual cue. Like you're like, oh, that person smells like wet dog because they're wet. But I don't know.
I don't know.
I know. Well, I know sometimes when it rains outside, like if there's an area where a lot of dogs go, like you can smell it. So maybe it's just like pet owners.
Oh, that could be.
They get wet and like it comes out or something.
Hey, if we happen to, I know we don't have like a ton of listeners yet, but if we do have any, black listeners, you know, tweet us and tell us if you think white people smell like wet dogs when we get wet. All right, AJ, I'll shoot it around to you again.
What do you think would be like a funny racist nickname for white people?
Oh, so let's see. We got Honky. I mean, Honky is kind of funny.
Honky's pretty good.
We got Cracker.
I like Becky. Becky's good. It's such a white name, and you know, it's like Becky's.
What about for white guys?
White guys?
Chads.
Could be Chads.
Yeah, you got a bunch of Chads and Karens.
What do you think is the most offensive, white thing? Because I always thought about this, like, because obviously Cracker and Honky are
Wigger is pretty bad for both sides, I think.
Yeah, I feel like that goes both ways. Yeah.
I think the one that kind of gets me is White Devil.
I've never been called that. I think if someone called me a white devil, I'd be like, This is a good day.
I mean, it would be a great story, but I think that's one that would catch me off guard the most.
I feel like white devil sounds cool though. Like if somebody called me like a brown devil, I'd be like, "Oh, I'm devilish," you know,
Devilishly handsome.
suave, yeah, something like that.
All right.
All right, so this one's a short one, but COVID misinformation blamed for Texans drinking bleach. So this one's another one about people drinking bleach. Almost 50 North Texans drank bleach this month, according to North Texas Poison Center, which blamed misleading and inaccurate information circulating online about how to prevent the spread of COVID-19 for the rise in poisonings. In April, Donald Trump suggested new coronavirus might be treated by injecting disinfectant into the body. So, I mean, 50 people drank bleach. That's crazy. Who is, like, in what world are you, like, it prevents COVID?
Part of me, I'm wondering if this is like a Jim Jones thing where, like, the preacher shows up and is like, okay, everybody, drink your bleach.
Yeah, there must be, like, one really charismatic, stupid person, you know?
Yeah. It's like, hey, guys. You know what's really fun?
The world is flat, and, you know, let's all drink bleach. Stupid people can be very charismatic, too.
It happens.
Does that crackhead who was singing "Amazing Grace"? Is he a preacher at that church?
No, I think he just showed up.
He's a community
Well, that wasn't
leader.
a church. It was like a funeral or whatever. But,
Yeah. He's like a community leader.
but I mean, like even people who are like, you know, considered almost notoriously stupid for like Trump or, you know, George W. Like everyone who meets them is like they're down to earth. They're very charming. They're very, you know, nice. And then like you're like, what's going on? Where's the disconnect here?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess Trump seems like he wants to be liked. So, like, the people he's seeing face to face, like, who he needs their votes and stuff, he'll be nice to them.
Yeah, Trump is super narcissistic. Will say anything.
Yeah, that's true. He'll lie through his... I didn't see his town hall, but I heard he just lied like crazy. Did you guys see it at all?
I didn't. Even know
Everything he
had
says is just like, yeah, nothing of value there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you like hear these people that actually keep track, and they're like, "Oh, he's told like 20,000 some lies." And it's like, how does he even talk enough to get that many lies?
Exactly, yeah. Like, everything is a lie then. And, you know, I've met people like that where everything is a lie with them. You could ask them if you went to McDonald's. Oh, no, I went to Wendy's, but they went to... Like, it's crazy. I don't know why they would
just
lie
for no
about
reason.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, there are people like that, and it's weird. Yeah. All right, you got anything in your scrawlings there?
Do an easy one. Okay, you have to get a nude massage from any male celebrity. Who do you pick?
Oh, boy. Huh. I already know. This is weird that I already know, but Chris Hemsworth. 'Cause I feel like he'd really get in there.
Get in there?
Yeah.
I was thinking about like what it's about somebody like the Big Show. he could probably massage your like lungs or something. You know, there's something inside.
It would be funny just to see like how like his hand. Like,
Yeah, you feel very self-conscious. I think.
Happy ending.
You know, I don't know why, but like when you first brought that up too, like Hemsworth was like one of the first that came to me too. Like I don't know, there is something about him, like yeah, like he could muscle you. Like,
Yeah. He could really get out the knots and stuff. He seemed like he would like not be an asshole about it either. You know, he'd be like, "Oh, you want a massage? Here, I'll help you out." You know?
It's just a bro massage.
Yeah.
Nothing serious. Just,
Yeah,
just a little, just a friendly massage.
A guy helping out another guy.
And why do we need clothes? We just don't.
Now turn around.
Cool.
Flip over.
oh, that was the big question.
That was the question of the day.
Okay, so like as I mentioned earlier, as we're taping this, it's officially Batman Day, and so I was curious, who is your guys' favorite Batman in like film?
Christian Bale.
Probably Christian Bale, which I hate him and everything else, and I say he has no like emotion or like any range whatsoever, but it was perfect for Batman.
Yeah, I would go with Christian Bale too, and like I think there is room for an improvement because like his Batman voice was a little over the top in places, so like
You got to go for it. You have to commit.
so like I think there are like people who could probably outshine him, But as of today, like I think I would go with Christian Bale.
And I don't even like Christian. I think he's an asshole because I saw like a recording of him like cussing and yelling at people.
Oh, good for you.
Wasn't he physically violent to somebody?
Was he?
Like in his family or something?
Oh.
It does seem like there was
a
story
report of that,
like that. I don't know. I think there's been conflicting reports about him. Like he did get mad on that set, but like who knows if maybe it was warranted or not.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then just curious, like who are some of your guys' favorite Batman villains?
Oh,
Villains?
Heath Ledger.
Well, I mean, just like
that was a great.
Oh, okay.
That was a great portrayal. I mean, the women are sexy, I guess, like Catwoman.
So that's just how you ranked them.
Well, I mean, what do you want me to pick?
Well, so I'm thinking like, I mean, there's a ton of his road gallery is really solid. I do like the Riddler just because I like the mystery aspect. I like Ra's al Ghul quite a bit.
Yeah, that was good in the animated series. He was a good character.
Yeah, because he's like he's a good foil for Batman because like it's one of those things where he has.
It's like a philosophical like conflict.
He's like very Machiavellian, where like the outcome he wants is a good thing, but the means in which he's willing to do it are terrible.
That's a pretty common thing for like good villains.
Yeah,
they have that kind of mentality.
And I also like the Scarecrow in relation to Batman too, because it's like they both use fear as a weapon.
I definitely liked him in the the Christian Bale Batman ones.
Yeah,
I think depending how it's done, it's pretty good.
Do you think there's any underrated Batman villains?
I don't know. Name a few. Maybe something will pop out.
Well, to me, the one I think is underrated is
Danny DeVito Penguin.
I think the character of Anarchy is very underrated.
I didn't read that. Was that one of the? Wait, I'm getting confused. I don't remember.
Well,
it does seem like I vaguely remember.
The only thing about it is in the comics, he's like a teenager that kind of makes himself look older. But yeah, he's basically this anarchist who is about like personal responsibility and stuff. And I think he's just an interesting foil for Batman. And like, I definitely like if I were to write a Batman story, like I think I would use him because like I think in this day and age where we like trust our political leaders less and less, like the idea of this guy coming along that's basically saying we could do better on our own is kind of interesting. And like the thing about Batman is like he is upholding the laws, but he's essentially, upholding the laws that are on the books that are written by corporations. So like, if Batman saw a guy dealing, marijuana on this corner, like he'd probably take him down with a mass prejudice, which like,
you think so?
Well, at one time, like society would probably be okay with that, but today they would see it as overreaching. And so, like, I think you could tell an interesting story there where maybe Batman, you would look at him in a different light and be like, man, should I be rooting for this guy or not,
Yeah, he does go 0 to 10 on people, right? Even if they're like a henchman or
sometimes,
whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it depends who's writing him. Like, I don't think Batman's, an asshole like a lot of writers definitely do. But, he definitely takes down drug dealers.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember him dealing with like mob and stuff, but
I mean, I don't know if
generally not like petty stuff on the street.
I mean, I don't know if he would like, break a marijuana dealer's arms, but he would probably subdue them and like, have the cops come
give
and
him
deal
a
with him.
quick batarang into the ding dong.
Just punching bag.
Just out of nowhere, out of the dark. Let this be a lesson.
This is for trying to help that guy with glaucoma.
It's like I have a doctor's note.
Batman like steals the drugs afterwards. This is my weekend right here.
Another billion.
All right, I'll shoot it around to you again.
All right, this one's
Batman's fighting crime just to fund his drug habit.
He's like, you got any drugs? All right, man divorces wife after accidentally catching her cheating on Google Maps Street View. Yeah, this is crazy. So Google Maps isn't just for directions anymore. You can also end your marriage. According to Australian outlet news.com.au, a man caught his wife cheating while searching for a location on Google Maps Street View. He was using the app to decide on a tourist destination to take his wife on vacation and stumbled upon a woman in an outfit he recognized. While navigating down the Bridge of Sighs in Barranco, Peru, he saw the woman was sitting on a bench with a man, reclining with his head in her lap. Both of their faces are blurred, as is customary when Google Street View cameras capture a person. While the view only shows a still image, the woman appears to be stroking his hair. The man quickly realized it was his wife based on the clothing and other physical characteristics. Although the photo was taken in 2013, the man at the center of the story still chose to confront her. The missus admitted to cheating, according to Peruvian paper La Cronica, and the couple recently divorced. That is crazy.
Yeah, that's 1 in a million.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like how often does Google like update those street views?
Apparently since not 2013.
And like he wasn't even looking around his house or something. It was like a tourist destination.
Yeah, when you were saying that, I was like, he was like, he brought up his street view and was looking at his house or something.
So this is like a spot that, like you said, 1 in a million. Like, how is he going to find that out? That's crazy.
Yeah, the odds of that are...
Another thing is like when you say he recognized her by body type, I'm like, okay, this is like a big girl with a moo.
Yeah, she's like a frumpy type. Yeah. She is. I saw her, yeah.
Well, apparently more than one guy wanted her.
Easy goes a long ways in this world.
Yeah, she like had his head in her lap and she was massaging his scalp. So, I mean, yeah, she was cheating.
Man, yeah, that's it.
Actually, I saw a story like, wasn't that long ago where it was like 90-year-old man divorces his wife of 70 years because she had an affair when they were 20.
Yeah, I've heard of that too. Wow. You would think at that point you'd be like, shit's old.
He's like, nope. It's probably like, man, I've been putting up with this shit for like how many years?
Yeah, that could have been the last straw.
Get out, you dumb whore.
She's 90. And he found her letters or something to him, right? Like,
maybe that was it. I don't know.
Can you imagine if that was your grandparents?
Yeah, you'd be like, just stay with it now. You're
going to be dead in a month.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd just be like, you can come live with me, Grandpa.
I mean, yeah, that guy holds a grudge.
I think he went and got like a rebound girl.
Yeah, somebody who's like 80, somebody young he cradle robbed.
80.
Well, they say like STDs are bad in like those retirement homes because they're just like they be fucking.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I guess Viagra or something changed everything.
It's a game changer.
God, I mean, I guess when you're that old, you're used to beauty looking different to you. You're like, okay, yeah, this 80-year-old woman is beautiful to me.
Well, yeah, you have like 80 years to adjust as you go. So.
Yeah, because me right now, I'd be like, God, a 60-year-old woman is like, unless she's...
But also when you're like 80, maybe your eyesight's going.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I'll move it to you again.
Again, Jesus. Okay, you're forced to get a full back tattoo. What do you get?
Oh, man.
You know, it's funny. I thought about bringing this up as a question before. I mean, I think for me, it'd have to be Batman related. Batman. I think this is what I would do. I would have like Batman and Catwoman on a rooftop, the moon's out, maybe bang. Now, I think I would have them. They're like in costume.
Meow.
They're like in costume, but their cowls are pulled back and they're kissing in the moonlight.
Classy.
I would have my favorite basketball team, like their logo tattooed big on my back.
Gang banging you. I always feel like the sports are a little bit gay. I don't know.
When you said my favorite basketball team, like it's the logo. At first, I thought he just meant like all the players. I was like, damn, that seems involved.
Pretty intricate. Like those people get traded all the time. So it'd be like that one moment in time.
And then like if you did that, like one of those guys would end up being like a pedophile or something terrible.
Yeah. You like cross them out later. Yeah, these MS-13 gang members, like they get tattoos all over their bodies, and then when they try to leave the gang, they like just get them crossed out, like a little line in between this whole murderous tattoo.
Yeah, because when you leave, they don't want you like still having those red or something.
They don't let you leave; they'll kill you.
Like you gotta get transitioned out like that or something.
Something. I mean, some gangs will let you like jump out where they beat you up really badly, but they seem like they're more.
That's like how you get in. That's how you get back out.
Yeah.
Ugh, I don't know, man.
What's your back tattoo?
I don't know. I like Hellboy a lot, but I think I'd go with like a Frank Frazetta or something. Some Babe and some Tigers. Something stupid like that.
You know what I miss is like people in the 80s that used to have like, those panel vans and they'd put pictures that on them, like those high fantasy.
You want to know my dream car? Is you just take one of those vans, you cut it down the middle, and you stretch it way out, and then you just have an epic battle for like 20 feet. That'd be the best.
You could live in that bad boy.
You could live in it.
Yeah.
That would be the rockinest thing
It'd be
ever.
a pain to drive, though.
Yeah. It'd be like driving a limo or something.
Yeah.
They really, like, people need to start putting better paint jobs on their cars. Like, give us something to look at, you know?
Yeah, cars are very boring. Like, if you look at cars from the 50s, they're like all, like, the whole rainbow. They're all different colors, all, cool looking. And then, like, you come today and they're all, like, boring and they're gray and white and black. And you're just like, what happened, man? What happened to the fun?
Yeah, when they show cars from the 50s in the movies, they're all bright and colorful. That's true.
And, like, they were architects back then. Like, they made beautiful cars.
But they were, like, made out of steel, death traps, right?
Yeah.
Now, let's up the ante on your tattoo question, because you tweeted that picture like a week or so ago of that guy that had pussy liquor tattooed on
God.
Yeah,
his
pussy eater. That was his.
Yeah.
He had a fake mustache tattoo, and it was just the words "pussy eater" across his lips.
You know that guy doesn't get any.
Yeah.
If you're going that far, you're like, look, I'll do this. Like, I'm advertising here. That means you're desperate.
Yeah, that's definitely a desperation.
No, so let's say you have to get a face tattoo, but it can't just be like a dot. Like, it has to be something that's
significant,
at least visible. Like, what would you choose?
That's a tough one.
That's a tough one.
I mean, I think the easiest thought would be to go tribal.
Like a Mike Tyson-y type.
Yeah.
Well, maybe something slightly more traditional, but yeah, I mean, something. I mean, what are you gonna get, man?
I would get nature. Some sort of, like, maybe trees or something. Or...
Yeah, you see, like, the girls with sometimes they have like leopard spots or something. Looks okay. I don't know if you see that on guys too much. I'm trying to think of something that look good. You don't want like a My Little Pony or something.
Yeah.
I mean, you could do like the stupid like pencil thin beard or mustache.
Yeah. What about a little garter snake in there, like a curly Q mustache? Something stupid.
I mean, I wouldn't make it a snake, but maybe a curly Q mustache.
Yeah, just the mustache and maybe eyebrows. I saw a guy got like thick rimmed glasses tattooed on his face.
That's kind of funny. Yeah.
Yeah, you could have your eyebrows lasered off and then give yourself the tattooed on eyebrows. Make them look like you're surprised all the time.
Angry eyebrows. Yeah, that's a tough one to think of something that would be like good that you wouldn't just like immediately hate.
All right. So my next topic, man, this isn't a funny one. Like it's time for the depression time of the episode, but I think it is an important one. So, like, some information came out. This topic is about whistleblowers, but this first story is about a whistleblower from an ICE facility. Staggering number of hysterectomies happening at ICE facility, whistleblower says.
Yeah.
Okay. A whistleblower complaint filed Monday by several legal advocacy groups accuses a detention center of performing a staggering number of hysterectomies on immigrant women, as well as failing to follow procedures meant to keep both detainees and employees safe from the coronavirus. The complaint, filed on behalf of several detained immigrants and a nurse named Dawn Wooten, details several accounts of recent jarring medical neglect at the Irwin County Detention Center in Osceola, Georgia, which is run by the private prison company LaSalle South Corrections and houses people incarcerated by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE. In interviews with Project South, a Georgia nonprofit, multiple women said that hysterectomies were stunningly frequent among immigrants detained at the facility. Quote, "When I met all these women who had surgeries, I thought this was like an experimental concentration camp, said one woman, who said she'd met 5 women who'd had hysterectomies after being detained between October and December 2019. The woman said the immigrants at Irwin are often sent to see one particular gynecologist outside of the facility. Quote, it was like they're experimenting with their bodies. In one case, Wooten said a woman who ended up with a hysterectomy was not properly anesthetized and overheard the doctor say that he'd taken out the wrong ovary. The woman had to go back and get her other ovary removed as well, Wooten said. Quote, we've questioned among ourselves like, goodness, he's taking everybody's stuff out, said Wooten, who was a full-time employee at Irwin until July. Quote, that's his specialty. He's the uterus collector. I know that's ugly. Quote, is he collecting these things or something? She continued. Quote, everybody he sees, he's taking all their uteruses out or he's taken their tubes out. What in the world? And then she kind of goes on to say about how they're not, properly safeguarding against the coronavirus and things as well. But, I mean, when I read this story, I mean, and ICE has had a history of, of course, the whole thing about separating families, just all these atrocities. And like this one seems especially bad because it's almost like, forced sterilization.
Yeah.
And, I just read this and I was like, man, this is like fucking awful. And so I was just wondering what you guys thought about this story.
Yeah, that sounds like Nazi Germany right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's way out of control. It's obscene.
Is it the privatization? Is that why they're able to get away with this, or would the government still be doing? I don't know.
I mean, you get some of those systems in place, and if you get one piece of shit like that, and they give him any authority, if you don't have proper oversight, what the fuck is going on? You have no idea.
Now, the other thing is, ICE has only been, a portion of the government since 2003. So it's not even, this long-held thing. But I'm if conservatives lesser government, this is definitely one agency the left is willing to give up.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, that being said, I don't know if abolishing ICE, there's still, of course, going to be, an enforcement agency that detains, illegal immigrants. And who knows, these abuses probably went on before ICE was a thing. But it's but my thing
it seems more accepted now, more, at least we hear about it more now.
Yeah, if you're a conservative, and especially if you claim to be, a Christian, either you're burying your head in the sand when it comes to these stories, or about them and you just don't give a fuck. Because, these are, abuses of the highest order. If you can call yourself, a supposed Christian and be okay with forced sterilization and, the forced separation of kids from their parents, a lot of whom will probably never, see each other again because they, were so disorganized and shit. I mean, it's hypocrisy of the highest order. What do you guys think about it?
I think they're in their own bubbles. The right and left, I feel like if you're on the right, you're probably thinking that they're exaggerating. It's not true because you're getting news reports of QAnon, pedophile rings and stuff like that. So you're outraged about something like that, which isn't even true. But, on the other side, if you're hearing news about these hysterectomies, you're probably thinking, oh, they're making it up.
Oh, so it's just the fake news thing.
Something like that, yeah.
Well, I mean, when you come back to Nazi Germany and people would hear whispers of the concentration camps and the killing going on there, and it's just it's so much that you're this can't be true, and you don't believe it, but there is a bunch of terrible shit going on, and which, considering this day and age, it seems like it should be fairly easy to prove this stuff, but plausible deniability goes a long way.
Now, the other whistleblower story is I was listening to yet another Joe Rogan podcast, and he had Edward Snowden on. And so, of course, back, I think it was 2013 is when he kind of exposed that the government was doing this mass surveillance.
Yeah.
And recently a court, it wasn't the Supreme Court, but I think it was a, Ninth Court, Circuit Court, something, basically ruled that, he was right. The government was breaking the law. And so like now, you know, still the only thing that can basically, you know, make it so he can come back over here is a presidential pardon. Still, even though he's vindicated, basically what he said was happening. It was unlawful. You know, to me, you know, he should definitely get a pardon. And he mentioned some other people that same thing. They were, you know, it's called the Espionage Act. That's what they get him on. But, you know, it's not like they were selling these secrets to a foreign power or something. You know, they were exposing unlawful things that the United States government was doing. And he's like, he and these other people, like it's been proven what they exposed was happening and was unlawful, and that they didn't give it to, you know, other, you know, foreign powers. They just did it to, you know, expose what the government was doing. And so I just wonder what your opinion on it. Do you think Edward Snowden deserves a pardon?
I think he should have been pardoned a long time ago. And I don't know, it just doesn't seem to be coming.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is like, I remember, you know, Obama made a big thing when he was running saying that we need to protect whistleblowers, yet the Snowden thing happened on his watch.
There's a couple things like that where I was just like, I mean, the president is very limited in powers in some regards in some things, but I mean, that one, all you have to do is step up to the plate. I mean, it's an easy win. You just do it, and then it's done.
I know, honestly, if I was running for president right now, that's something I would run on. It would be like day one, I'm going to pardon, you know, Snowden and any of these other people that have been, you know, proven to be right, you know.
Who's anti-Snowden? That's the weird thing. Like, I mean,
just nobody seems like they have the balls to step up on it. It's like,
are they going to lose votes?
Maybe they think it's going to be like it'll result in criticism of them being weak or something. I don't know.
And he talks about it on the podcast. He's like, basically on Fox News, you know, every day they would trot out, you know, some military official that said, oh, he put us at our country at a security risk and all this stuff, even though that wasn't true. And you know, they'd say, you know, claim they didn't break the law and stuff like this, which they did. And you know, that's what happens is, you know, these military officials go out on the news, you know, day in and day out, and people just go, well, they're military officials. They're probably, you know, we can believe this. And it's like, you can't. And then the other thing he was talking about, which I thought was interesting, is the Julian Assange case. So like
what? Yeah, give a quick recap of the state of that.
So, and this is something that I don't know
basically he's arrested, right?
Yeah,
for releasing documents, but he won't expose his sources or something.
Yeah, and so that's what's interesting is so like he's the editor-in-chief of WikiLeaks.
WikiLeaks, yeah.
And yeah, basically he published you know, military secrets that he got from sources that I think exposed like stuff from like the Iraq stuff, or I forget exactly. But what Snowden was saying is like, because he was hiding out in like an Ecuadorian embassy for like, you know, a long time but then I should have looked this up.
They got tired of him being there because he was like making a mess.
But yeah, they eventually found a reason to go pull him out of there basically. Yeah. And so now they're trying to try him. But what Stone says is like, no matter what your feeling is about Julian Assange, because like a lot of Democrats don't like him because in 2016 he released the stuff about Hillary. Mm-hmm. But basically Stone's point was no matter how you feel about him, it actually sets a very dangerous precedent if they convict him. Because basically what the U.S. has always done in cases like this is that like if, let's say the New York Times publishes, you know, military secrets that they get from a source, well, the government will go after that source, but they don't go after the New York Times or the publication itself. Mm-hmm. Well, Julian Assange, he is not the source of those leaks. He's just the person who published them, essentially. And so he's like, if they convict him, you know, that sets a terrible precedent.
Right.
So I was wondering what you guys think about that, and like what does happen if they convict him.
Yeah, I'm a little conflicted. Not really though. Like I'm you know a liberal, so like I didn't like that he like tried to sway the election in 2016. But at the same time, like, you know, if he's just the person who's putting out the information like a newspaper, and he's got sources that he needs to protect, and they're coming after him for, releasing information. And that's from even before that. I would say that, you need to protect him. He shouldn't be in trouble for that.
Yeah, that's freedom of the press, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you would think so, but
things get perverted over time, and
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what a terrible position to be in.
But yeah, I know these were like they're kind of serious stories, but I think interesting anyway.
Yeah.
Like, and definitely are important. But yeah, if people haven't listened to that Joe Rogan podcast with Edward Snowden, like it was definitely very interesting. And he also talks about different security risks and things. So yeah, interesting podcast. But okay, yeah, AJ, I'll throw it back to you.
All right, let's see what I got here. All right. So, yeah, Trump calls for patriotic education, says anti-racism teachings are child abuse. President Donald Trump accused schools of teaching students hateful lies about this country and said he would be taking steps to restore patriotic education as he continued his opposition towards efforts to raise awareness about racial inequalities. Speaking at the White House, described as a conference on American history, Trump said that he plans to sign an executive order to soon to create a national commission to support patriotic education called the 1776 Commission, and that he is directing funding to create a patriotic curriculum for schools. Our youth will be taught to love America with all their heart and their souls, Trump said. The White House declined to say when Trump would sign the executive order. Trump said the framing of history around race was toxic propaganda and a form of child abuse in the truest sense of the words, specifically calling out critical race theory, a concept that was started around the idea that the law and legal institutions are inherently racist. He accused Democrats of pushing education that makes students ashamed of America's history. He also took aim at the 1619 Project. So, it goes on. The 1619 Project is basically about talking about history from the point of when slaves first arrived from America and their contributions and stuff like that. And Republicans and Trump are against that. So, or I can go on about it. Let me see. So it's a New York Times-backed initiative that focused on consequences of slavery and the contributions of Black Americans at the very center of the story we tell ourselves about who we are as a country. The project we won a Pulitzer Prize for commentary was released last year to coincide with the anniversary of slaves being brought to Virginia colony 400 years ago. So, I mean, this also sounds like a Nazi propaganda, like trying to wash history. Yeah. That's horrible. I hope he doesn't sign it, and if he does, I hope the next president, hopefully Biden soon, in my opinion, should reverse it. Like that's crazy if you don't teach about slavery and stuff in school.
Yeah, that's pretty far off the mark. The thing is, I almost have like a personal thing against national schooling for just because of that specific reason. Is there's a tendency to want to control it or brainwash or leave something out or change something, and when that's in the hands of like a small group of people, I feel it's kind of a you almost always get some kind of negative result out of that.
Mm-hmm. It's frustrating because like history, science, all that stuff should be based on truth and fact. Just like, okay, whatever happened. We have to just learn about it and make our decisions based on that. If you rewrite that just so people love America, like the consequences could be insane,
Yeah, and like I think there's pluses and minuses to what you're saying, because like if you have like a national education system, like that is a risk of like depending on who's in charge, they could try to push something like that. On the other hand, when you have all these individual ones, like you have some places that are never going to teach kids about evolution.
Well, that's right. You're going to have some kind of bell curve. And to be honest, I think I'd even accept that because you could have some competition instead of just mass mediocrity. And then people want to take care of their kids. They want to send them to good schools in general. And so I think on average it would be better instead of just having everybody be kind of half-assed. But I mean, even then, like if you're going to do that, you have to accept that some parents are going to want their kids to be taught about God, and I don't know if I'm necessarily against that if that's what they want to do, but I think having some form of competition inside those school systems is probably much more beneficial.
Of course, I've always thought, though, it'd be kind of beneficial to kids if there was more of a structured, like, federal system, especially for kids that had to move between schools. Because, like, this is one thing I never knew until, like, Mom talked about, like, when she was a kid, because her family moved around all the time. And she was like, some schools were, like, ridiculously easy. And then, like, the Montana one was, like, more challenging and stuff, like, difficulty-wise.
Well, you're probably also getting, like, when you move, you're getting some, like, this school was a little bit ahead of this one, so now it's harder. This one was further ahead of this one, then it was easier, you know?
Yeah, and so I think if there was a little more parity between all the schools, like, it might be better. And then also it gives, you know, all kids throughout the U.S. a more even education and more even opportunity then.
Yeah, that might help kids in like areas where there's less funding for education. Maybe like they're getting the same at least curriculum as somebody who's in a better school district.
But then, you know, you do run the risk of some sort of Cheeto-faced fascist trying
Well, there's
make
that,
kids
but
think
there's also,
already.
like, even if you look before that, the school system's been having a lot of problems. And so many teachers go in and they just come out completely disenfranchised because they're not allowed to teach, and because of standards like No Child Left Behind, that they're really kind of pigeonholed on being able to even teach freely or spend their time the way they should be spending their time. And obviously the results of No Child Left Behind have not been great.
Yeah. You know, to go back to what you were talking about, though, to begin with, like, I don't do much on Facebook, but it is interesting because I kind of get to see, because I have a lot of conservative relatives, and I kind of get to see, like, kind of the propaganda that's being fed on their side. And so I constantly see them, you know, posting these things about how, you know, schools are teaching our kids to be communists and all this, like, extreme, like, Marxist, like, leftist bullshit. And I'm like, where is this narrative coming from? Why is it taking hold, you know? And then I also see them they always post these things that say, like, I'm in favor of kids saying the Pledge of Allegiance in school and saying under God. I bet you won't repost this. And I'm like, yeah, I bet I won't. But stuff like that constantly. The Pledge of Allegiance comes up a lot, I notice. And, like, I've always, like, the Pledge of Allegiance is something I've always had a weird feeling about, because I remember when I was in grade school, we said it at least once a week. Like, it would come over the intercom system and we would do it. And then at some point we stopped doing it, I remember. And I don't think we really did it all that much in middle school, and then high school I don't think we did it until my senior year of school. 9/11 happened. And then all of a sudden, every week, oh, we're patriotic again. This means something to us. We're saying the Pledge of Allegiance. And I was like, well, is it really that important then, if we were willing to throw it to the wayside for all these years? And, like, my thing is, like, if people want to say the Pledge of Allegiance, like, I don't care, but they could do that before they come to school. Like, there's, and some people call this unpatriotic, but there's something weirdly cultish about the Pledge of Allegiance.
Even when I was a small child, when I used to do it, I used to feel like, this is weird, you know? This feels like, it felt cultish, exactly.
And I also remember, and this is a teacher definitely shouldn't have done this, and probably honestly could have gotten in trouble for it. But I remember, like, in one of those times after 9/11, there was a kid that, same thing, like, felt kind of weird about doing it. So he just sat down, and, like, the teacher, like, jumped him out, and he's like, said, you will stand up, you will cover your heart, you will say it. Like, and I'm like, yeah, he probably could have got in trouble for that if that kid pushed it. But yeah, I just, like, again, these people that act like you're not patriotic if you don't say the Pledge of Allegiance, I'm like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly.
But
it seems like, yeah, it's like being a dummy for somebody, you know? Like, they're like, now talk while I actually make the noise, you know? Like, do what I say. It just feels like you're being controlled, you know?
yeah, I always felt weird about doing the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah.
Even though, like, I feel like I'm patriotic. Like, I think there's a lot to love about America. I do love America. But yeah, just, I don't know. Something always felt off to me about the Pledge of Allegiance. Like, what do you think about it?
I don't know. I don't mind, really. I guess that's all I gotta say. It's like,
Okay, yeah,
if they want to do it, that's fine.
but like, did you ever feel weird about doing it yourself? Like,
I don't think so. Like the God part, I guess originally wasn't in there, and I never believed in God, so that was maybe a little weird. But
yeah, that's the other part that people really get up in arms about is, oh, they're taking under God out of that, which
it wasn't originally in there.
Really?
So, yeah, no, it was inserted in.
when did it get added?
I don't remember.
That's interesting, and I actually didn't know that. So somewhere along the line,
Yeah, they slid the in God in there.
they slid it in there.
Or under God.
So we should start posting like, I'm taking it back out, and I don't. I bet you won't repost this.
Or like include your own thing, like spaghetti monster.
Methuselah.
Yeah, Methuselah.
Oh, yeah.
Under God, spaghetti monster, Methuselah.
All right, you got another good topic for us?
Not really, man, because the stuff I was looking at is just so... Like, I'm just going to sound like an asshole if I try to jump in this.
I mean, we can wrap it up here if you guys want to.
I mean, it's up to you guys unless if you got something, but I'm definitely sweaty enough.
Yeah, it is hot in here. Yeah, I could save some topics for next week.
Okay. All right. Well, I do want to thank everyone for listening. I should have done this at the top, but make sure to like, subscribe, leave us a comment about if we smell like wet dogs. Please write us a positive review, because that helps people find the podcast. And, just call up your grandma and tell her to listen.
Just don't call our grandma.
Yeah, nobody we know, but your own grandma. And before we go, on Twitter, AJ, where can people find you?
I am a name for this too, and it's number 2.
Number 2.
At unsolicited SUG.
And you can find me at Zach Jones Live, ZachJonesLive. I believe that will do it for this week. Please come back and tune in next week. Bye.
Bye.
Take care, guys.